Welcome to our session today. My name's Donna and I'm going to be taking you through how to do timetables and rotas today. Before we get started though, I just want to make sure that you can see and hear what I'm saying and what's on the screen. So if you can see the Katoomba University the timetables and rotas blue screen, if you could just raise your hand and you'll find the hand icon on your control panel on the device that you're using. So if you could just raise your hand for me, and we'll just wait for a few more people to do that. And fantastic. Okay, so you can hear me great. What I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to do a bit of a live demo and just show you how to set up those timetables and rotas and when you should use them and why you should use a timetable as opposed to a rota and what the difference actually is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop down here into my Katoomba and we're going to have a look in here. Oops, wrong tab. Okay, so what I've got is we've gone into the admin tab and I've got over here my list of staff members underneath my business name here. Okay, now there's a couple of things just to think about before we talk about timetables and rotas in detail. One of the things that these are really useful for is to reflect all the things that your staff are working on. So this is not only the time that they're spending with your customers and doing colours and cuts and treatments and so on, but you're also going to be recording the time that staff are putting stuff on shelves or at reception or whatever, depending on how your business works. And what it's going to do is it's going to give you a clear picture on the time that your team spend on non-billable work as opposed to that billable work. Okay, and I suppose if you like to think of it, the key differences between a timetable and a rota. A timetable you would set up just specifically for one person, as opposed to a rota where you can set it up and you can apply that rota to several of your team members. Okay, so that's kind of a little bit of the difference. The setup pretty much the same, and I'll take you through that step now, and we can go from there. As always, if you've got any questions, please pop those in the question pane, and we'll get to those at the end of the session. Okay, so if I was going to set up a timetable for someone, I'd go and select the timetable, the person that the timetable is for. I'd come down here, okay, and you can see here that I've got no timetable set up at the moment. So I'd just pop in here and I'd go new timetable or rota, and I'd put in the start date. Now this could be a time in the future, whatever you wanted it to do. And at this stage, if you wanted to assign a timetable, you could, but we're going to go and create a one-off timetable. And that's going to bring up that same screen as you would if it was a rota to fill in the details. Remember, this is just for one individual person. Okay, so for this particular person, so we're going to give this a name, and I'm just going to check, yes, this is for Helen. So I'm actually going to put Helen's name in here, so I remember that that's what who it's for. Now, she's not working on Sundays. She's working on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. So maybe she's actually not going to be working on Mondays, so she's going to have Sunday, Monday off. So she might have a start time on a Tuesday of 9 a.m. and the rest of these end at 6 p.m. and the rest of these times is fine for Tuesday. For Wednesday, she may have a totally different schedule. So maybe she doesn't start till, say, 10 o'clock in the morning. And she has an early day, so she's going to be finishing at, let's say she finishes at 4 p.m. Okay, you can change the break time depending on those hours as well, so maybe that's at 2 o'clock, and so on for the Wednesday. For Thursday, okay, we're going to just stick to the same date, and then for Friday, there might be a different time again, so maybe this time she actually doesn't start until 11 a.m. Okay, and maybe she finishes a bit later at 6:30. And this is specifically for Helen, so this is her timetable. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just actually going to come to our Saturday. Okay, so we'll leave Saturday at 9. We're going to finish Saturday though. We're going to finish Saturday probably about 4 p.m. 4:30 we'll say. Okay, and in this case, there's another option you can add in, and that's adding custom time. And this is where you can add in things like reception duties or stock taking, whatever it is you want to add in. Okay, so if I add let's pick a Tuesday here, I'm going to add in a custom time here. So I'm going to give it a name. Okay, I don't think we've got any names here. So we've got some already there. So maybe she's going to be at the front desk for a period of time. So we're going to say that that is paid time, and we're going to put that in as, so she might be on the front desk from, what time is she finishing? 6. So maybe she's on the front desk from 3 p.m. until 6. Oh, sorry. It's our start time. Then we've got end time, and we'll put that as 6 p.m. Okay, so that's for that one. So maybe there's some custom time here on the Thursday as well. So in this case, it's perhaps unpaid time. So we'll leave that box unticked. And we're going to go in here, and maybe she has from 3:30 till 4:30, and this could be it could be that she goes to Polytech, or it could be something else. She may have a regular appointment for something outside of business that you've agreed to as part of her employment with you. It could be that as well. So it's making sure that all of the time is booked up in the calendar. So we've done all that, okay, and you can go on and you can add another one as well if you wanted to. So for this one, we're just going to go done. Okay, so now we've got Helen with her one-off timetable. Okay, now we're going to go okay at this, but you could go in it and you could edit it if you're suddenly say, oh no, that's not right. And we can do that. So we're going to go okay. So now we've got that supplied here. Okay, and if you wanted to just tidy things up, you can go in and you could remove that one. So it's nice and tidy looking in the screen. And don't forget to use the save button at the bottom right and go save. Okay, so that's our one-off timetable. Fairly easy to set it up. You just go in and you add in the things that you need to do. Okay, the other thing I want to do is show you how to set up a rota, and we're going to go down here for rotas. Okay, now we've already got some already in our system, but we're going to create a new one. Okay, so in here, this is where you would set, and remember, this is for more than one person. You would use this option for. So in general, your team might start at 9 and finish at 6. They might have a lunchtime at 12. If you wanted to put in, if you have set lunch times for people, you can put the duration in here. So if we put in, say, 30 minutes in there, and so on. I know most of you don't put in a time frame because lunchtime is usually fairly flexible, and you take it when you can or if you can. But you can actually put a time frame in there if you wanted to. Just the same as you can put in a break time for afternoon tea or whatever other times you want to put in there as well. Again, you have that custom time option for a rota, but remember, because you're going to be applying this to more than one person, then that custom time would need to be something that everybody's going to do at that same time. So just be aware of that with setting up a rota. Although you can add custom times, and that's fine, you might want to just have a bit of a think about who you're then going to apply this rota to. The other thing we didn't do up here is we're going to call this Rota 1. Okay, so in Rota 1, our team, let's say they're not working on Sundays or Mondays, and we can just leave that one pretty much as it is. We might take Saturdays off there as well. Okay, so they're going to be working a 4-day week. Okay, that's lucky, wished I was. And we can go done. Okay, and of course it's important to make sure that you do that save at the bottom right hand side, because without that it's not going to save it and you're going to wonder where your rota is. Okay, so I'm going to pop back in here. So there's our Rota 1 sitting at the top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to create another one. So we're going to call this Rota 2. Okay, and in here our team are going to be working on Sundays and Mondays, and we're going to give them Saturday off. Okay, so one week they're going to have a short week, and the next week they're going to be working a longer week. Okay, and it entirely depends on what your team actually work, but I just want to show you what it looks like when it's different. Okay, and again, of course, you can add in that custom time, or you can put in your lunch durations and your break times, etc. Okay, we're going to go done. Okay, and there's our rota there. Whoops, I think that's the one. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so we've got Rota 1 and Rota 2. So now what we can do, I better make sure I've saved that. And we're going to come back here and we're going to select our next person. Okay, so this time we're going to actually add those 2 rotas for our staff member here. So we're going to put in a new timetable of rota, And now it's going to ask us to assign a rota. So we're going to go in and we're going to go and select our rota. In this case, we'll select rota 1. Okay, you can pop in and view it just to make sure that you wanted to, it's the right one. So let's do that. So yeah, it's showing me the details. It's my 4-day week. And we can go done at that time. And we can go okay. So that's going to apply from there. I'm just going to get rid of this other one so that I like it to be nice and easy to read. So that's our rota 1 there, starting from next week. Now what we can do is we can add another one. So we can come in here and that's starting from an alternative week. Okay, so the starting from the following week. So we've got this one from the 25th and this one from the 2nd. So this is what we call alternating rotas. Okay, so 1 week on doing that and 1 week doing the other. So again, you can go and view and make sure that that's the correct one. Okay, so yep, that looks fine. And we're going to go done and we're going to go okay. So now I've got those 2 rotas and they're going to alternate each week. Okay. One of the other things you can do is we'll just save that and I'll go to another staff member. Okay, so we can go in here to clear and we'll just repeat that. So I'm going to add another rota in here. So let's go in and add that same rota 1. We'll go okay. And I'm just going to get rid of that one so it's not confusing. And I'm going to save that. And now I'm going to add that other one as well. And you'll notice how Katoomba works out the dates for you. So if they're not the dates that they're starting on, you can change those to fit what it is that you need. Okay, and I'm going to go okay. So now I've got a rota for that week and a rota for that week. Okay, so but what about all the other weeks from here for the next few months? Okay, so what I can do is I can highlight that, and by using the shift key, I can highlight those 2, and now I can repeat those items. Okay, so when I want to repeat it from the 8th of October, because remember I've already got these 2 weeks filled in, so the next week after that's the 8th. Okay, and I can put it in to repeat until such time as you want to review it. Now, with Christmas coming up, it might be that you want to set up some of your Christmas rotas or timetables and things. So this is a good opportunity. So maybe you don't actually want this one to start until it might be November. So you can go in and put November in there. We'll leave it as the 8th. Okay, and know that you're going to be finishing that particular busy period in so January, and we'll finish that on the 1st of January. So now if I go, I've got my 2 timetables here, I can go. Starting on a Wednesday, all right. I'll go back and change that. So let's start from the Sunday, and we'll go. Okay, so now I've got all of those rotas repeating from now until January. So last week, the 31st of December. So if you're changing your timetables for your team over the Christmas period, then it's as simple as going in, putting in those times, and as you can see, I've got these 2 here, and then there's nothing until September. So I would need to go in and make sure that there's a rota set up for them in between that time. But just to give you an idea that you can get those Christmas ones set up now, ready to go. Just make sure that you've got rota set up for them between now and when that first date starts. Okay, so that's giving you a bit of an idea of how to do those repeating timetables. We've got our rotating rotas there, so that's 1 week might be different to the next week, and you can have that as simple or as complex as you want. You might have a staff member who does 1 week they do 3 days, 1 week they do 4 days, the next week they might do 5 days, somebody might do afternoons 1 week or mornings the next week, and it really is just as simple as going in and setting it up. The big thing to decide is it a timetable for one person you want to do, or is it a rota that you want to apply to many? Okay, so now I've applied this one to clear. Now I can come in here and put it in for myself. Okay, so I can go in and I can, let's just remove that one. So we can go and put a new one here. And I can just select those same rotas, and maybe I only work that particular rota, so I only have to apply it once. Okay, and then I just have to make sure that I save, and then that's going to go against me in the calendar. And this, of course, is where you see what's going on. So you can see here that we've got my timetable is out because I don't work on Mondays on the rota that I selected. One of the other things that you can do, of course, is to override timetables. And the easiest way to do that, so maybe I phoned in, let's find a week where I'm actually working. So maybe this week, oops. Okay, so maybe it's this one. So maybe I'm going to call, well, I already know that I'm going to be on leave that day. So I'm going to put in leave, okay, and my reason for my leave. So maybe I want to take an annual leave day, and I can save. So that will override the rota or timetable that is in against my name. Okay, so it's as easy as that. Or maybe Claire's phoned in sick. So let's go into Claire, and I want to override the timetable. Okay, and I want to put in there that it's a leave day, and it's again leave, but maybe it's a sick leave. Okay, I can save that. You could also select partial leave. You could put in here a day that they're not working. And one of the examples of a not working day would be perhaps if maybe every 5th week I don't work on a Wednesday or something. Now you could set up a timetable for that, but to be honest, it's probably easier just to come in and do a manual override in the calendar just for that one Wednesday every 5 weeks. It would probably just be as easy to do it that way. But again, if you wanted to, you could set it up so that it's a timetable, it's all automated, and so on. Sometimes we get a little bit complicated with our timetables, and I've seen some really, really interesting ones out there where it's so complicated that you just can't make head or tail of it. And then, of course, if you apply that rota to somebody else, then that's going to give them the exact same information that's in that rota for that other person. So if you're applying rotas to someone else than the original person you set it up for, make sure that it is correct. If you go in and edit a timetable that's been allocated to someone else, just remember that that's going to change for those other people as well. So if you've got a staff member who changes their rota all the time, it might be easier for you to set them up with their own individual timetable. Okay, and I'm just going to save that. So now you can see we've got sick leave and we've got annual leave. So maybe you've got somebody who changes their rota all the time. So what I would do for them is I would set up a standard timetable. And remember, we did timetables individually by just going in here, new timetable, and create a one-off timetable. So I'd create just a standard one for them, and then if it's a regular day every week, then I'd take that day off, so they're just not working. Okay, but if it's a random, so one week it might be a Thursday, one week it might be a Tuesday that they're off, you're probably best to use the override system for that. Otherwise, setting up a really complex rota is just going to be too difficult to do. So that's what I would recommend, is do the basics and then manage it through using the calendar's override function that you have. Okay, so again, that's just to do a one-off. If you're doing a timetable, it's really important that you give it a name that means something. If it's for a specific staff person, then put their name in there. So in my case, let's put in Donna. Okay, so that would be my timetable. And I can create that one-off timetable. Oops, let's go. I'm just going to cancel that, sorry. We'll start again. So there's my new timetable. I want to create a new one, and that's done. And of course, what I didn't do was, of course, press the save button down. Oops. Oh, it wants me to sign up. Let's do that. Nope. So I've done all that. I haven't given it a name. That's what's wrong. Okay, done. Okay, and now let's put that in my screen there, and of course, a save at the bottom. Okay. So if I wanted to, now I could actually apply that one, although I've created it as an individual timetable. So we could go back to somebody who hasn't got a lot of timetables in here. Okay, so I could actually go and Oops, it's gone. No, sorry, I can't. I tell a lie. Okay, it has to be created as a rota as opposed to a one-off timetable. So if it's a one-off timetable, you're only going to be able to give that to that one person. Okay, cool. All right, so hopefully that's been of some assistance for you in setting up your timetables and rotas. Remember, it's really important to keep track of the things that aren't necessarily billable work, so it's all those non-billable hours. And I was talking to a salon owner recently who was saying that actually when they look at what their team do, there's quite a lot of things they do that are really important for the business, but it actually isn't billable as such. And if they don't keep record of it in the calendar, they don't actually know what their team's actually spending their time on. So that's something that can be helpful for you. So I don't see any questions in the question pane today. So if you've got any last minute questions, pop those in now. Okay, just to recap what we've covered, we've talked about the difference between a one-off timetable, which is for one individual person, or a rota, which you can apply to many people. The things to remember about a rota that you apply to many people is if you edit it, it's going to change for everybody that it's applied to. Okay, the other thing just to remember is to do the override here. You can do that in the calendar. Just pop in here. So it's just a matter of going right click and you can override your timetable, and it could be for anything. So maybe there's a partial leave day, maybe instead of working they're just not working for that day, so you can go and save. So now I've got Geraldine out. Okay, and of course you'd have to do something then about the customer that is sitting right there. We'll go yes. Okay, so all of those things to look at. Thank you very much for joining me today. It's been my pleasure as always, and I look forward to catching up with you next time. Have a fabulous rest of the day.